You should hang out with me sometime, by the way. You're a cool dude. Cool dudes should hang out together, right? For some reason, that compliment actually feels kind of nice. The situation with Hanako being what it is, though, means that I probably won't be able to fulfill his request. For now, at least. That'd be good, I tell him. I'll talk to you later about it when I can. Cool. Later, dude. He retreats to his dormitory room. I had better go see Hanako. I stand outside of the door to Hanako's room, hoping that she isn't in too much of a state, as I nervously clutch the worksheets Muto asked me to pass on to her. It's one more reason to visit her, and it gives me something to talk about, so I suppose I should be thankful to him for giving me the task. With a long breath to steady myself, I rap my knuckles on the door in front of me. Silence. I listen intently for any sound of shuffling coming from inside, but I can't hear a thing. I knock on the door again, slightly harder. Still no answer. How strange. Scratching my head, I make one last attempt at getting her to answer as I knock on the door one final time. Hanako, I say, it's just me. Muto said to give you some stuff. For a while, the attempt seems just as unsuccessful as the last. Just before I slip the sheets under her door, though, I hear the handle rattling. As the door opens halfway, I quickly try to see how Hanako's faring. It's a task made somewhat more difficult by her oversized gown hiding so much of her body. She doesn't look sick, or at least not immediately so. To be honest, I'd have preferred that to her expression right now. She looks terribly tired and appears to be barely acknowledging my presence. Hi, Hanako. Muto wanted me to give you these since you weren't in class today. I hold out the loose sheets, which she tentatively takes in her hands. The way she moves is devoid of thought. Her posture is slumped in an unusual manner for someone who's so often tense and wound up. Even her eyes keep looking away from mine, doing their best to avoid eye contact. I move my head a little to try and get a better look, but she just ends up turning away. Are you okay, I ask? If you're feeling sick or anything, I could go get a nurse. It feels almost pitiful to put on such a routine, get-well-soon act. I can't think of anything else I could possibly do for her, though. She seems to collect herself a little at the notion, but only a little. Her head remains turned away, but her eyes move toward me. I'm fine, she says. An awkward silence follows. As it lingers, I notice that the sleeves and the cuffs of her gown bear slightly damp stains. Her cheeks are a bit red, too. Has she been crying? I see. I hesitate a little before coming out with the words I really came here to say. Would you like me to stay? I don't have anything urgent to do at the moment, so it wouldn't be any trouble. Her eyes slide away from me, and I lose any hope for an improvement of her mood. I wait for a response, but she doesn't say anything nor give any kind of gesture. She just stands there looking away from me. Hanako? She slowly shakes her head. Okay, good night then, I tell her. With that, Hanako steps back and closes her door without a second word. More than a little worried, I retreated back to my room. Wandering up the hallway, I keep mulling over what happened. It felt like Hanako was only half there, as if I was interacting with a robot that was just doing what it was programmed to without any real thought. She was a husk of a person. This is frustrating. I'd hoped that meeting Hanako would help the situation, but I feel like it's only made it harder to understand her. How am I supposed to try and help her when she quite literally shuts me out like that? I don't even bother to turn out the light, opting instead to simply change into my pajamas, quickly choke down my evening pills, and collapse onto my bed. Once again, Hanako doesn't turn up for class. Try as I might to concentrate on other matters, this fact continues to distract me throughout the entire school day, and even as I walk through the school gardens to the dormitories. I don't think today being her birthday is a coincidence either. I don't know the link between the two events, though, nor do I have any idea on what she's feeling. Were it physical pain, I could at least provide some limited comfort. With something like this, though, I have no idea where to start. I run the people I know through my head, thinking about whether they could help. Shizune and Misha don't know that much about Hanako, and what little they do know, they can't tell me. Same for the nurse. In the end, there's only one person that knows Hanako well and would be willing to tell me anything. Entering my dormitory room, I notice something that takes me off guard. It's starting to feel familiar. With everything that's going on around me, I'm thankful that this room started to finally be somewhere where I can relax a little. When I first entered Yamaku, it felt immediately foreign in every way, from the untouched neatness to the way it smelled. Focusing back on the task at hand, I throw my bag onto the bed as I open the top drawer of my desk. Before she left, Lily told me the number to call her on while in Scotland, and I wrote it down. In hindsight, I wonder if she knew something like this could happen. Now that she's out of reach, I realize just how much both Hanako and I have relied on her for guidance. I dig around drawer after drawer looking for that damn piece of paper. Eventually, thankfully, I find it nestled under a borrowed library book. I probably should have just entered it directly into my cell phone, come to think of it. Without further ado, I enter the numbers and anxiously press the call button. Eventually the phone picks up, a feminine voice I don't recognize on the other end. It's probably Lily's mother. Wah, 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 Satao. Wah, 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 wah. English? Suddenly finding myself unprepared, I realize I can't understand a word she says, either due to my limited vocabulary or her heavy accent. I should have anticipated this, since, according to Lily, her mother is a native Scot. I soldier on in the hope that she must know some Japanese, considering it's her daughter's native language. It's Hisao Nakai speaking. An enthusiastic sound of realization can be heard as she recognizes the language. My feeling of relief is immense. Ah, you must be one of Lily's friends from school, correct? Even so, her accent means I have to concentrate to work out what she's saying. Yes, that's right. Pleased to speak to you, Miss Setao. It's so nice of her to find someone so polite, she says. Lily dear, it's for you. Her mother seems nice, if a little over-enthusiastic, given the mundane situation. There's a small silence as Lily takes her time getting to the phone. In the distance, I can just make out her mother scolding her playfully for just getting up. Hello, Lily speaking. You sound awful, I say. She makes a sound somewhere between a dying animal and a yawn. The one thing I did remember to check before calling was the time zone. It'd be pretty late in the morning over there, so she really has no excuse. Not feeling well, I say. Just tired. What time is it there? Late afternoon. School's finished for the day not long ago. Hanako's not well, is she? Lily says. That was quick. My assumption that she must have known something like this could happen seems to have been on the mark. How did you know? I ask. Because today is her birthday. I hope she might have gotten at least a little better after coming to know you, but how is she right now? I tell her, she missed school today and yesterday. I still have to check up on her today. To be honest, after seeing how she was when I talked to her yesterday, I'm pretty anxious. I really have no idea what to make of it. Has this happened in the past? Is it related to her scarring in some way? Unfortunately so, Lily says. Roughly the same thing happened last year when her birthday came up. As far as I can tell, it's because her parents died in the accident that caused her scarring, and Hanako blames herself for their deaths. What she says does seem to make sense. If she's blaming herself on her birthday, she may well be rueing that she was ever born. Hanako had mentioned her stay in the orphanage to me. Maybe I should take some heart that she trusts me enough to tell me such a thing. Lily seeming in the dark about it, though, almost to the extent that I am, is a surprise. So, I say, that's why she lives in the student dormitories as well. Has she told you any more about the accident? As close as we've come, she's very barely told me anything about what happened, Lily replies. What I know about it is largely conjecture. She sounds depressed, almost defeated. Considering the trauma Hanako must have gone through, I really can't fault Lily for not knowing. Nevertheless, she still seems to consider it a personal failing. Don't blame yourself, Lily, with everything she's gone through. There's a long silence from the other end of the line. I begin to wonder if the call cut out before the voice at the other end speaks once again. There is another person, though, that has been a subject of worry for me as of late. Oh, I ask? I run through the people she could be talking about in my head. The only friends she seems to keep very close are Hanako and me, though there is Akira as well. That person is you, Hisao. There's another silence on the line, but this time it's caused by me. Making others worry about me is something I've very actively tried to avoid since coming to Yamaku. Indeed, even my interaction with Hanako has helped stave off my major health problems, thanks to our relaxed and slow-paced lives. I say. What is there to worry about over me? I apologize, Lily says. I didn't mean any offense. Sorry, I say. I was just taken a bit off guard. Still, isn't Hanako a bigger problem at the moment? Lily replies, For some time now, I've thought that the both of you may be feeding into each other's more worrying habits. I tried to amend this before leaving, but it seems to have done little. Worrying habits, I say. When I asked you about what you had in mind for the future, your answer was very similar to what Hanako has said in the past when that question was posed to her, Lily replies. It is well and good to want to protect her, but I fear that treating Hanako like this, as if she were a daughter or someone in need of special care, is only going to achieve the opposite. The situation got effectively turned on its head. After everything that's happened, this is the first time I find myself doubting Lily's judgment. I don't want to admit it, but she may have a point. Something else bugs me, though. And you tried to amend this, I ask? Wait, our outing into the city? Quite astute. I thought that it might help if I dragged both of you out of Yamaku and into the wider world. I am thankful you became closer for it, though. So she noticed that. I suppose she may well have been paying attention to us, and her hearing's incredibly good, quite likely good enough to have picked up what we were talking about, if she tried. I tell her, this sounds more and more like you were manipulating us. Silence. It's a harsh way of putting it, but I have no intention of stepping back from those words. I'm sorry, Lily finally says. I was just worried about you. It's fine, I say. I guess there are more important things anyway. It's not a total surprise that she'd do such a thing. Her motherly nature can be slightly overbearing at times, but she does have the best of intentions. So, you think I should think about myself more instead of trying to cater to Hanako? That largely sums it up. Again, I'm sorry for not telling you this in a clearer way before going behind your back. I know I am at least as guilty of being overprotective of Hanako as you, but I fear that you are neglecting yourself in your efforts to give Hanako happiness. Do you really think Hanako will be okay, I ask. She isn't as fragile as you think, Lily replies. I don't know exactly what experiences she's lived through or what feelings she has in her mind, but she has managed to work her way through them until now. It's also my hope that giving her a little space will allow her to decide what she truly wants for herself and give her the initiative to reach out for it. Please have faith in Hanako. That's all I ask. I guess I'll think about it for a while, I tell her. That's good. Being rash won't get you anywhere. I know that at times you may doubt your relationship to Hanako, but she does. She cuts herself off and takes a moment to reconsider her words. Please keep in mind that I wouldn't have befriended you if I hadn't thought you were a fundamentally good person. You're a good friend, both to myself and to Hanako. Thank you, I say. That helps. We share some small talk to try and lighten the atmosphere, but it feels very stilted. There's a lot I don't know about Lily's stay in Scotland, but after such a heavy subject, I want to be alone for a bit to think. After a few minutes, we end up saying our goodbyes, and I set my phone on the desk. Compared to Hanako's situation, mine feels utterly mundane. I still have both of my parents. I had a reasonably normal childhood, and unlike many in Yamaku, my condition isn't immediately visible to the public. But then again, isn't this just an attempt to justify the way I've been acting toward her? That may well be what our pasts were like, but when it comes to the future, I still have no idea what I want to do. In school, I've just concentrated on each day's work, and I've put off more and more things to cater to Hanako. I recall the words Muto told me after Hanako's breakdown about the purpose of Yamaku and my education. In hindsight, he was probably trying to push exactly the same thing. Just what have I been doing in the time since my heart attack? If I ever did manage to get Hanako out of her room and to open up, what then? I look out of my dormitory window as the sun slowly sets. It's a nice sight, but what I really savor is the quiet as the students return to their dormitory rooms. All I want to do now is think. I'm not sure how much time I have, but I want to work out where I'll go from here. So we reach an important and I believe last decision that we have to make along Hanako's path here. We call up Lily for advice, talking about what's been going on with her, how she's withdrawing from the room, from the world and staying in her room. And Lily gives us the advice that we need to give her space. We need to back off, trust her, I trust that Hanako's been through this before and that she's strong and that she will pull through it, and allow her to decide what she wants to do. And in addition, to figure out for ourselves what we want to do. The fact that we've been ignoring ourselves and devoting all our time to taking care of Hanako and catering to Hanako, and that it doesn't help her any if we destroy our future in the process. So, having made that decision to go with Lily's advice, we will continue on. In this case, if you trust your own judgment, we go to the neutral ending. As I said, this has a good, a bad, and a neutral. We've already seen the decision that leads to the bad ending when Lily leaves to go on her trip and we decide just to call off the rest of the day instead of hanging out with Hanako. This one, we trust our own advice. We go to the neutral ending, and if we trust Lily and give Hanako space, we go to the good. So at this point, we will see where it continues in the next episode.